We are going to read the poem Telephone Conversation by Wallace Soyinka. So, Telephone Conversation is a 1963 poem by the Nigerian writer Wallace Soyinka. So, he is a black African writer. And he satirizes racism in his poem Telephone Conversation. The poem describes a phone call between a landlady and the speaker who is black. And the whole conversation is about renting an apartment. The landlady is pleasant until she learns that the speaker is African. So that shows the kind of bias, the prejudice that is there against the black people. At which point she demands to know how light or dark. So she wants to know the complexion of the man who wants to live in the house, who wants to rent the house, and how dark the speaker's skin is. In response, the speaker cleverly mocks the landlady's ignorance and prejudice, demonstrating that characterizing people by their skin color diminishes their humanity. So, key facts that we have to keep in mind while reading this poem is it is in free verse or verse libre because it is a modern poem, and in the modern style the patterns are not so rhythmical, and they are not in the fixed meter, and rhyme schemes are not followed. So that you won't find in this poem. It is in the form of a dialogue because two people are conversing with each other, and the poet has used a lot of ellipses and pauses. Pauses means a lot. We will discuss it when we will discuss the poem. And the style is conversational, and there's a lot of use of color symbols in the poem. So you will see that how we relate to colors and what symbols the colors have. It deals with the theme of apartheid and racism too. So now we begin with the poem. So it begins very abruptly. The poem begins abruptly. The price seemed reasonable. So what there is some negotiation going on when you're talking about price. So the opening line is not very clear, but it is talking about that there is some negotiation. Some price is involved, money is involved. Location, indifferent. So there is something about the location about which he is indifferent. It's not very good, not very bad. It's fine, just fine. The landlady swore she lived off premises. Now what happens when you are living with a landlady or landlord? Then you have to adjust. When the landlady is not staying on the premises, whoever stays there doesn't have much to communicate with the landlady when he is living there. So it shows that the landlady doesn't stay on the same premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. Madam, I won. So because he says that now everything is negotiated, the price was negotiated, he liked the place because the landlady was not staying on the premises. So he said, now if everything is fine, I have to say something. So he won. Madam, I won. I hate a wasted journey. So if I am coming there, you should know. So I don't know everything beforehand. So he doesn't want to waste a journey just coming there and getting a no for an answer. He doesn't want a no for an answer. So he says that I have to confess something. And he says, I'm African. So what confession he has to make is that he is an African. And that shows that in general society, there is a prejudice against the black man. Because there is a lot of racism, and the Negroids or the people who are called Negroes or black people, they have to suffer a lot due to the racism that is there, that is prevalent in the society. So there was a silence. The silence has a lot of meaning because she was contemplating, she was thinking about this man being an African. So naturally she has some reservations about black people. Silence transmission. So he is holding the phone, he is just waiting for the other person to respond. See, when you are in a one-to-one conversation, that's why it's a telephone conversation. When you are one-to-one conversation with a person, you can see the various impact on the face of the person. You can see the eyes, you can see the gestures, you can see the facial expression, and then you can know that what the person is thinking. But over the phone it is just silence, and that silence is very scathing for the person who is reading, who is holding the phone, who is holding the receiver. So of pressurized good breeding. So she was well bred, so she couldn't just say anything. Some people are more rude. So he's also talking about that what kind of a woman she is. He's analyzing her. So on both sides they're not seeing each other. So it's only the conversation through which they are analyzing each other. So she is of well bred, she is of good breeding. So she is not saying anything superficially, but there is something there. So voice, when it came, so when the voice came, he could feel. So he is also imagining the lady, that what kind of a lady she is. So she must be a sophisticated lady, and he imagined the lipstick on her lips. Lipstick coated, long gold rolled cigarette holder. She must be a rich lady with a cigarette holder and lipstick on her lips. Pipped. Caught I was foully. Now he was foully caught in the conversation because he has mentioned he is an African. So now the questions are there. And what question does she ask? How dark, how black are you? I had not misheard. Now he is being clear that I was on the phone, so don't think I have misheard. I have heard it clearly. She asked me, how dark? Now that is a very funny question, to ask someone how dark you are. I had not misheard. Are you light or very dark? So she was asking, are you light or very dark? Button be button, stench of rancid breath. Now she was not there. They were not face to face. Still he could smell that there is a sour breath, because he can feel that there is a hatred, there is a kind of there's a kind of hatred, there's a kind of animosity that is building, and that is referred to this rancid breath. Stench of rancid breath of public hide and speak. So it is not hide and seek, but hide and speak. So sometimes when you are speaking up in public, what you are doing, you are hiding certain facts. You are not trying to be blatant, you are not trying to hurt the other person, still you are hurting. So this woman, she is trying to have to show that she is well bred, and she is trying to tone herself down, but still she is posing a question, a big question in front of this man. How dark are you? Red booth, red pillar box. So red is a symbol of danger, and red is also symbolic of a kind of hatred that is there, and red is also here because red has been used with different, it is a color symbol that is used very often. So red here also symbolizes that there is something that is not all right. Yes, and it is also symbolic of shame here. So red booth, red puller box, red double-tiered omnibus, squelching tar. So how dark is the question? It doesn't mention the color of the tar, because tar is very dark black. So there is something that is the poet is also withholding, because black is a color not to be mentioned. So there is the squelching tar. It was real, shamed. So the conversation was shamed by ill-mannered silence, because those silence are not very well-mannered. People are, because if somebody is speaking on the phone, you make the conversation fast because the other person can't see you. So the silences there cannot be, it is suffocating. It is a kind of silence that is troubling. It is a troubling silence. Surrender, pushed, dumbfounded, to beg simplification. Considerate she was, wearing the emphasis. Are you dark or very light? Revelation came. So now she was trying to know that Are you very dark? Are you very black, or are you little lighter in shade? So complexion matters a lot. You are white, or you are brown, or you are black. And if you are brown, it must be fine. But if you are very dark black, then that racism is heightened, because this is the standpoint of white supremacy, where they think that their skin color is the best. So this man, now he gets a bit satirical, ironical, also a bit cynical. Like, you are asking about my skin color, how will I explain the color of my skin? So he says, you mean like plain or milk chocolate? So am I light like a plain chocolate, or I am dark like a milk chocolate? So if I am very dark, you wouldn't like me. If I am a bit light in complexion, it would be fine. So racism within racism. Her accent was clinical, crushing in its light impersonality. She was impersonal. She couldn't feel any sympathy for this other man. So she wasn't treating him as a fellow human being. Wavelength adjusted. She was trying to adjust the wavelength of her voice. I chose West African sepia. So if you try to describe the complexion I have, so I am perhaps sepia colored, and I am from, if you can try to locate me according to the color of my skin, I am from Western Africa. And as afterthought, down in my passport. So this is I in my passport, because he is making fun, he is mocking. Like, when you take a passport photograph, it is sepia colored for everyone. It's also sepia for a white man, it's also sepia for a black man. So that's why he says that I am sepia colored on my passport. So I am a lawful citizen because I have my passport. So I am not somebody who has broken the law. I am not an imposter. So I have my passport, and that has a sepia colored photograph. And then silence for spectroscopic flight of fancy. He allowed her to imagine the color of my skin, till truthfulness clanged her accent hard on the mouthpiece. What's that? So what do you mean by sepia color? Conceding, don't know what that is? So you don't know what is sepia color? So because she was astonished, how can a man be of sepia color? But here he is trying to say that all of us on a photograph are sepia color. Like brunette, that's dark, isn't it? Not altogether facially, I am brunette. But madam, you should see that rest of me. Palm of my hands, soles of my feet. So when you see a man who is black, even his palm of hands are not black, even they are light in color. So if you see the whole man isn't dark. The palm of his hand is not black, the feet is not black. So he says, I am brunette, but madam, you should see the rest of me. Palm of my hands, soles of my feet are a peroxide blonde. So they are, if you will see the palm of my hand, then they are not black, they are blonde. Friction caused, foolishly madam, by sitting down, has turned my bottom raven black. So I am darkest at my back. One moment, madam, sensing her receiver rearing on the thunderclap. So she might just put her receiver down because she cannot get into this kind of conversation that was getting difficult. So he says, about my ears, madam, I pleaded. Wouldn't you rather see, because you are making a conversation to my ear, and you must hate my ear too. So wouldn't you like to see my ear? Rather see for yourself. And here, when he is using ear and palm, he is talking about fragmentation. And fragmentation is done through, he is not representing his whole body, but he is talking about the color of his hair. When he says brunette, it is like, I am a brunette, I have brown hair. When he is saying I am brunette, and the palm of his hand is blonde, that is golden. And then that is a technique that is used to show that the identity of a man is turned into a color, and that colored identity is created. And he is mocking that, because a man is of not one color, but a man is a creation, a God's beautiful creation, which has its blemishes and the way he is created. So, he says that wouldn't you rather see for yourself? Wouldn't you see me, and then you can decide that I am black or not, or how black or how dark I am. So it's better that we should meet, and then you can get your prejudices. But even on a phone, when you're not seeing the person, the biases are so strong that how this woman behaves with this man. So this is something that can happen to any black man. It's an everyday reality for a black man, and Wole Soyinka tries to bring that to the attention of the readers, that look how it seems, how it hurts to be a Negro, a black man. So that's all. If you have any doubts, you can always ask questions in comment section. Thank you.